In delving into Tales from the Dungeon, experiencing the torturous trials of Edward's lovers, we begin with the crucial setting. Edward's dungeon. A dungeon, in this context, represents a shadowy, enigmatic underworld where power dynamics are ruthlessly exploited and the boundaries between love and cruelty blur. This Gothic dungeon, often associated with medieval castles and tales of suspense, serves as a physical and symbolic space filled with secrets, desires, and dread. It becomes a stage upon which Edward's intricate tales of passion and torment unfold, highlighting the complex interplay between pleasure and suffering. The significance of this setting is paramount. It acts as the foundational backdrop to Edward's narrative, emphasizing his allure and authority while simultaneously underscoring the vulnerability and peril faced by his lovers. By situating the tales within this intimidating structure, the audience immediately senses the foreboding atmosphere and recognizes the intensity of the trials Edward's lovers endure. The dungeon is not merely a physical location, it is a manifestation of Edward's psyche, a labyrinth where he explores the depths of human emotions and autonomy. To illustrate this, consider two evocative examples from literature and pop culture: the infamous chambers of Bluebeard's castle and the dark, enticing rooms in E.L. James's 50 Shades of Grey. Each exemplifies the idea of a contained world where lovers are subjected to trials, both physical and emotional, a concept that resonates with the experience Edward creates for his partners. Some critics argue that such narratives exploit the romanticized notion of suffering in love, while others believe they offer a powerful critique of toxic relationships and the dark allure of dominance. Differing opinions about the dungeon's role in storytelling reflect broader societal debates about consent, power, and the romanticization of control in relationships. Challenges arise in depicting these tales: how to balance the grim reality of coercion with the individual's agency and choice, and how to avoid glorifying abuse while exploring the complexities of love and pain. Moreover, while Edward's dungeon serves as a central motif, it interlinks with the broader themes of control, intimacy, and identity, driving the narrative's intensity and intrigue. This setting does not merely contextualize his lover's trials, but becomes an essential character in its own right, influencing each story's emotional and psychological depth, thus amplifying the overarching narrative of Edward's entangled relationships. The historical context of torture and trials provides a critical foundation for understanding the experiences detailed in Tales from the Dungeon, experiencing the torturous trials of Edward's lovers. Torture and trials, particularly in medieval and early modern periods, were often intertwined, used as tools of power, control, and societal judgment. Torture was employed to extract confessions, secure compliance, or punish dissenters, while trials, often lacking today's judicial fairness, were public spectacles meant to reinforce authority and deter rebellion. This duality is pivotal in exploring Edward's lovers' ordeals, as it sheds light on the brutal mechanisms at play in their suffering. Understanding this historical backdrop is crucial as it illuminates the systemic abuse and societal norms that allowed such practices to flourish. It underscores the lovers' trials not just as personal narratives of suffering, but as reflections of broader oppressive systems of the time. This perspective enriches the narrative by situating their experiences within a larger socio-political framework, revealing how power dynamics shaped individual destinies. Two historical examples that illustrate this point are the witch trials of early modern Europe and the Spanish Inquisition. The witch trials saw countless individuals, predominantly women, accused of witchcraft, tortured into confessing, and executed. Similarly, the Spanish Inquisition targeted heretics, using torture to elicit confessions and reaffirm the Catholic Church's dominion. These examples highlight the perverse intersection of torture and trials as instruments of societal control and the marginalization of those deemed outsiders or threats to entrenched power structures. Opinions supporting this view argue that historical accounts of such trials highlight enduring themes of power misuse and human rights abuses. Historians and scholars often emphasize the lessons these dark chapters offer in preventing future injustices and reinforcing the importance of due process and humane treatment. However, some challenges to this concept arise, such as the romanticization of past events or the difficulty in separating myth from reality in historical narratives. Alternative viewpoints might question the portrayal of trial participants as mere victims, suggesting that some might have wielded their agency, albeit within constrained circumstances. This exploration of torture and trials directly impacts the understanding of Edward's lovers' stories, adding depth and complexity. It influences how audiences perceive their ordeals, prompting reflections on justice, authority, and societal change over time. By examining these historical practices, the narrative not only engages with past abuses, but also resonates with contemporary concerns about power and freedom, encouraging viewers to draw parallels with present-day issues of human rights and judicial fairness. In the context of Tales from the Dungeon, experiencing the torturous trials of Edward's lovers, the concept of Edward's lovers, their backgrounds and relationships, delves into the intricate and often tumultuous lives of those intimately connected to Edward. This exploration is pivotal to understanding the wider narrative, as the lovers' backgrounds and relationships provide vital context for the trials they endure. Each lover's personal history, social standing, and relationship dynamics with Edward are intricately woven into the fabric of the story, offering insight into their motivations, vulnerabilities, and resilience. The significance of this point lies in its ability to humanize Edward's lovers, transforming them from mere figures into flesh-and-blood individuals who face psychological and emotional trials within the dungeon's confines. By delving into their backgrounds, we uncover layers of complexity in their stories, drawing the audience deeper into their emotional journeys. This understanding profoundly impacts how their experiences and trials are perceived, fostering empathy and engagement with the narrative. One illustrative example might involve a lover of noble birth, whose societal expectations and family pressures compel them into a relationship with Edward. This relationship, forged out of duty rather than passion, results in internal conflict and eventual imprisonment. Their prestigious background contrasts sharply with their grim reality in the dungeon, highlighting themes of privilege lost and the fragility of status. Another example could feature a lover of humble origins who genuinely loves Edward, only to find themselves entangled in a web of court politics and betrayal. Their background shapes their resilience and determination, making their struggles within the dungeon all the more poignant. Opinions on this concept often underscore its narrative richness, as it allows audiences to explore the multifaceted nature of love, loyalty, and sacrifice. However, challenges arise when balancing historical accuracy with dramatic flair, potentially leading to controversies around the portrayal of real historical figures and events. Additionally, some might argue that focusing too much on individual backgrounds risks overshadowing the broader narrative. This exploration directly influences the overall theme of the torturous trials. By understanding the lovers' backgrounds, we comprehend the psychological underpinnings of their ordeals and the dynamics within the dungeon. This connection compels the audience to contemplate the impact of past choices and societal contexts on the present, enriching their experience of the narrative as a whole. Through these insights, Tales from the Dungeon becomes not just a story of trials, but of profound personal journeys entwined with themes of identity, love, and redemption. When discussing methods of torture, devices, and techniques within the context of Tales from the Dungeon, experiencing the torturous trials of Edward's lovers, we delve into the harrowing and often brutal apparatuses and methods historically employed to impose suffering, fear, and coercion. These methods are not only instruments of physical pain, but also psychological torment, designed to break the will of individuals. In the context of Edward's lovers, these torturous trials underline the extreme lengths to which power dynamics are exploited, weaving a narrative that reflects both personal and political undercurrents. The significance of this point lies in its ability to highlight the perversity of human cruelty and the macabre creativity with which suffering is inflicted, painting a visceral picture of hardship in Edward's reign. These methods serve as symbolic representations of the broader socio-political climate, where torture was both a tool of punishment and a deterrent, reflecting the larger narrative of control and rebellion. Two notorious examples include the rack and the Iron Maiden. The rack was a sophisticated device that stretched the body, causing excruciating pain and eventual dislocation of joints. Its usage underscores the extreme lengths of physical manipulation and control. In contrast, the Iron Maiden, a sarcophagus lined with spikes, inflicted a psychological terror even before it physically harmed, representing the intimate intrusion of fear. These devices were pragmatically effective, but also served as instruments of public spectacle, amplifying their potency. Critics of such methods argue that the use of torture reveals a morally bankrupt system, perpetuating cycles of violence and dehumanization. Historical and contemporary opinions largely condemn these practices, emphasizing the need for human rights and ethically justifiable treatment of individuals irrespective of their alleged transgressions. However, challenges arise in discussions about these practices, as they may be considered necessary evils in dire circumstances where information extraction is crucial. This creates a complex debate on moral relativism, challenging the balance between security and humanity. This segment of the narrative ties into the broader story of Edward's reign and the personal stories of his lovers, as it portrays the interplay between power, love, betrayal, and suffering. It elucidates how personal relationships were not exempt from the merciless climate of torture, further influencing the emotional and psychological landscape of those involved. Understanding these torture methods offers insights into the darker aspects of human nature and the enduring impact of power dynamics on interpersonal relationships.